Hey everybody, welcome to Jim Reads Too Slow. I'm Jim, and that's what I do. I read too slow. And this is my March catch-up. It has been a little while since my last video. It happens, real life catches up with me from time to time. But I have been reading a little bit, so I thought I'd briefly run through what I've been up to. And this is all since my last video, which was in mid-January. So first of all, I need to say that I did finish Space Lash by Hal Clement. So I did successfully complete Hal for the Holidays, which was a reading event created by Brandy at the Booklectic. So there's that. Okay. Now back in January, I started the Hornblower 2023 read along, which was a project originated by Faith at Faith in Books and Mark at Richardson Reads. The goal is to read each of C.S. Forster's Horatio Hornblower books in chronological order, one each month throughout 2023, all 11 books. So I found a complete set of the books at my favorite used bookstore here in Lincoln, and I started in. And look what my wife just got me. I just got this in the mail the other day. The Hornblower Companion. It's got maps, illustrations, go along with the various stories in the series. Kind of nice. So helps you understand what's going on as you read it. So that's a big plus. So the Hornblower novels follow the naval career of Horatio Hornblower from teenage midshipman in the British Navy during the Napoleonic Wars through his many adventures as he rises through the ranks to become eventually Admiral of the Fleet. And these books are great fun to read. I'm really enjoying them. I'm only sorry that it took me this long to read them. So in January, I read the first one here, Mr. Midshipman Hornblower, which was published in 1950, the first book chronologically. And then in February, I read Lieutenant Hornblower, which was published in 1952. In March, earlier this month, I read Hornblower and the Hotspur, which was published in 1962. The Hotspur being a sloop of war that is Hornblower's first actual command, which really a lot of exciting stories and a lot of fun in these books. So in April, I'll be reading Hornblower During the Crisis. Now this actually is the final Hornblower novel that was written in publication order. It was published in, it was published in 1967. It's very short. This one is just 125 pages long. Forster was still writing this when he died in 1966. So it was left unfinished. But there's a synopsis of what the final few chapters would have been based on his notes at the end. And this book also includes a couple of Hornblower short stories by Forster. One set around the time of the first novel and the other after Hornblower's retirement, so around the time of the last novel. So I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of these novels now that I have all of them. So going back to January now, I read on the recommendation from my daughter, I read Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. I read this one, a lot of fun. This book is a lot of fun to read. The story is about two little kids, a brother and sister. They're children from the first marriage of an up-and-coming politician. Now, it's told from the vantage point of the children's new nanny, who is an old friend of the new wife of this politician. And just by the way, these kids these two little kids burst into flames when they get upset. It's kind of their thing, in a fun way. You know, they nobody gets hurt, meaning they don't get hurt. But as for their surroundings, that's a different story. So what's going to happen with that in this book, and how is it going to affect the politician's new family, including his very sensitive young son? The story is told with a lot of humor and heart, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so also in February, I finished my reread of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I read this with my wife. It was her first read, and I think she would like very much to read this again. This will be a book that we read together, probably maybe once a year. I think she'd like that. Okay. Also in February, our science fiction book club, I read Blindsight by Peter Watts. This is a hard science fiction novel that follows the crew of an Earth ship making first contact with aliens orbiting a previously undiscovered gas giant out in the Oort cloud surrounding our solar system. The aliens are intelligent, but do they have consciousness? Among other themes of this book, it asks the question, is consciousness holding us back as a species? This is a good story, and I enjoyed reading it. It has a vampire in it, space vampire. He's kind of the leader of the crew of the ship that goes out to investigate the aliens. A lot is made of the fact that he is a vampire. His species preyed on humans during the Pleistocene era and is long extinct, but he was brought back via DNA and science. He has superhuman strength and intelligent, and apparently he's very scary, but he doesn't really do any vampire stuff in the book. And in the end, it's his being a vampire, as far as I could tell, really added nothing to the story. So that brings me to March. And earlier in the month, I finished Crime and Punishment. Finished it. Read this in the family book club. It took a little while, but we finished it. Glad I did. Fyodor Dostoevsky's one of his masterpieces. Raskolnikov. He has this theory that great men, movers and shakers like Napoleon and that category of great men, for them, normal rules just don't apply. Laws, they can disobey the laws as long as it's a stepping stone toward the greater good or their own greatness or whatever. Because they're such great men, the law doesn't really apply to them. They can kill people and it's okay because it's just part of their plan. So Raskolnikov decides he's going to test this story or this theory. He does, and he spends the rest of the novel attempting to deal with it. He reminds me a little of Victor Frankenstein, who, after he finishes his creature, he looks at it and he is immediately disgusted and takes off. What have I done? That kind of thing. It's a psychological drama, to say the least. So Raskolnikov, through the course of the novel, pushes away his family, his friends. He does a lot of aimless, stumbling around, wandering through the city. He's feverish a lot. He passes out quite a bit until finally he comes to grips with what he's done. And whether the ending is satisfying depends on who you are, I guess, the reader. So my next science fiction, I read another Russian novel, a translated novel, Roadside Picnic, which was published in 1972 by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. This is another first contact story with a twist. I really love this book. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I I don't give books stars, but this is a 5-star for me. So what do you do if you and a friend drive into the woods and you have a picnic, and maybe you camp out for the night, pitch your tents. In the morning, you just hit the road. You drive off, leave your campfire, leave all your crap and trash and whatnot strewn around your campsite. Just take off because you don't care. You don't see this spot that you've stopped in as being of any real importance. There are no people there, at least what you would consider people. They're just animals and bugs, and that's the backstory of Roadside Picnic. Aliens have stopped off at several places on Earth on their way to someplace else. And it's only after they've gone that humanity discovers that they've been there in the first place. The people, the bugs and animals in our scenario, then start kind of go picking through all this detritus, the things that have been left behind. So the government makes these alien landing zones off limits to the general public. And this, of course, leads to trespassing and smuggling. A breed of criminals known as stalkers arises, and the story follows stalker Red Shoeheart. Their specialty is sneaking into the zones or sneaking others into the zones, and then bringing back whatever alien artifacts they find that they might be able to sell. Now, some of what the stalkers find is useful. Some of it is dangerous. Some of it is just downright deadly. But all of it, nobody really understands what any of it is or how it's supposed to be used. And they can't grasp the science behind it. Humanity can't. And this leads to a larger question, which Ursula K. Le Guin touches on in the foreword to this edition, the Science Fiction Masterworks edition. Would humanity be able to understand a message from space or from an alien species, an advanced species? The other side of that coin is, would an advanced alien species consider humanity important enough to contact in the first place? Like I said, I really love this book. I highly recommend it. And this is going to lead me into my next science fiction read, Stanislaw Lem's Solaris, which I've just barely started. Okay, so science fiction. Now, March is, of course, March of the Mammoths month. My mammoth this year is Against the Day by Thomas Pynchon. Now, Pynchon's novel here is 1,085 pages long. I don't know how many times I've started this book since I got it back in 2006 or 2007. But this time I'm far enough in it, I'm past 400, that I know I'm hooked, and I know I'm going to finish it. So no illusions about finish it before the end of this month, but maybe April or May. Okay, finally, in March, I am reading, along with my family, O Pioneers. This is going to kick off my personal O Pioneers, or my personal Willa Cather read through for the year. I'm starting with her Plains trilogy, which any self-respecting Nebraskan should read, should have read before they reach my age, at least. So I'll move on next to My Antonia, which will be a reread for me, and then Song of the Lark, en route to as many more of her novels as I can fit in this year. I have yet to start reading Louis L'Amour's Sackett series, but that is also on my list as well as this year's Sagalong, which I'm just now getting started to even think about. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, so that's what I've been up to and a little bit about what my plans are. I'll leave it at that for now. So if you have any comments, even if it's just to say hello or to take issue with anything I've said, please leave them. I really appreciate it. And I really want to thank all of you for sticking with me during the past few weeks. And if you haven't already, please click like for this video and subscribe to my channel. So until next time, have a good one, BookTube.